I was just researching and meeting. I met a lot of women, in Lahore, in Karachi, in Islamabad. I even drove up to Swat. And so the book is about basically a lot of cultural misogyny, and especially when it happens in the name of Islam, because that's my problem. Because women are mistreated everywhere, in the West, in the East, in every part of the world. But it's especially it's not okay when it happens in the name of Islam, because that's not that's not what it is. So in that perspective, woman empowerment to me is to give women the that place and those rights that are inherently ours, given to us by God, by Allah, but they were basically like were taken away from them because of the cultural patriarchy, because of the cultural concepts of how a family should be, or the role of the man and the woman. And that's pretty much what I do. That's my role in my community, is to separate the culture from the religion. And like I wear hijab, right? I obviously absolutely have no problem wearing hijab, because I don't look at it as a misogyny. I don't look at it as an oppression, because it's not. It's something that goes back to our religion, to our faith. And I chose to do it. Nobody, even if it's a religious obligation, no one can force it on me. I chose to do it, and this is not an oppression. But when, let's say, a woman is married off forcefully without her consent, that is a cultural misogyny, because that's not okay. You're ruining somebody's life. You're making a decision for her, which is completely her decision, religiously, ethically, morally, in every aspect. So for me, woman empowerment is the rightful empowerment. It's not about equality, because justice is not always equality. I'm not fighting for equal rights. I'm not fighting for everything that men are allowed to do or the men can do, because there's a clear difference between men and women. But and we need to acknowledge those differences. And it doesn't mean that we are any less, or men are any more. It just means that we are different genders and we have different roles, because we are built differently. And but what I am fighting for is for justice and for fairness. And equality is not always justice and fairness, because uh, if you're trying to look on the other side of the fence, and one person is short and one person is tall, the tall person doesn't need a stool, but the short person does need the stool, right? So that doesn't mean there it's unequal. One person is getting something, the other person is not getting something. But you have to look at it that the short person gets the step stool, because that's fairness, because so he can look on the other side of the fence. So that's basically what woman empowerment for to me is, the fairness and the justice that they deserve as human beings.
That's really amazing. Exactly, I think so. It's just like that. They both are human beings at first. Then they have different roles. So I think so. At first, ये समझना कि women and men have their own roles, and they are both are respectable. Don't need to empower one, overpower. We don't want to overpower on men and no women. We just have own space, own roles, and that's really important to realize that. Then, as you are, I also wanna. We are very judging. We love to judge people. We
Yes.
actually
Yes.
we quote. I think so. The most thing that hurt me is that we quote the Quran verses and we quote many philosopher quotations to prove our talk, to prove our
Yes.
point of view.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
just wanna know that recently I just like recently I did ask students to starting conversation that वो एक uh, जन्नत में शैतान कैसे गया एंड देन दैट गर्ल वो साहबा क्या कितने वो वहां पे लोग कितने थे आई थिंक सो वो यूजुअली फोकस्ड ऑन सच थिंग्स that
Right.
who is the woman, what's the thing. So I want to know because you have you as a community organizer, and you have organized many when you're working for that. So we always now burai ko say bad to the bad things and promote like if we won't say anything to someone, it's just like we're promoting bad things. But I don't think so. I want to you take your point of view that what's your point of view that we always, I think so, we always consider anybody that person is doing wrong and feel ourselves. So we have to point out that person, we have to judge that person. So what's your point of view? And is it like that? Because we always quote many things to prove our point of view.
Right. Unfortunately, that's one of the problems, is in Pakistan or in the Muslim community, is that we start abusing the Islamic text, the religious text, the Quranic text, or the Hadith, just to prove our point, and in that we lose the concept of the right and the wrong. It becomes personal to us. No, I have to prove my point, so I'm going to misquote or abuse the text in whatever way I can. So it becomes more about winning or losing than looking for the right and the wrong, sincerely and genuinely, just learning from other people. And similarly, this is what I noticed, that um, in Pakistan when I was over there, that a lot of time, men end up use misquoting the Quranic text, just so that they can keep their hold and their power on women, in a cultural way, which is not okay, because women basically, culturally are symbolic to honor, family honor, and that's when it becomes problematic, because anything she does wrong is hurting the whole honor. But as long as the boys, they do wrong, they can get away with anything and everything, because they're not damaging the family honor. And that concept fundamentally is wrong. Now, a lot of time, the Islamic text, or the textual evidence is misconstrued, it's misquoted to prove their point. And that's, I guess, that's a human nature. As humans, we try to empower, we try to have our control. To have control is kind of like a human nature. We like to have that, and it happens between the two genders, also between men and women as well, because
Yeah.
men have always held power over women. They don't want to change it, they don't want to give up that power, they don't want to give up their control. And it's a human nature. I'm pretty sure if the roles were reversed, I'm pretty sure if women were given that power over men, we would want to keep that power as well. So it's not something that, oh, men are evil, and this is, no, it's not that. I think this is humanly, this is something that humans do. If the society gives women that power, that control, we would want to hold on to that control as well. So, but right now, men have that control and they don't want to give it up. And they would use whatever it takes to keep that control. What ends up happening in Pakistan or India, or, like in the Middle East or even in the Arab countries, is because people are committed to their religion, because people are, more submissive still to their religion. The religion ends up being abused, to keep that control over women. And that becomes problematic for us in the West, because then anything that happens in that part of the world, we get bombarded that, oh, look, Islam is like this because that's why it's happening in Muslim countries. So it creates a lot of problems for us, because here we're trying so hard to teach, to show the right religion, to display, the be good Muslims, just to show that, the true teachings of Islam. And then something happens, and also because of the globalized culture, right? Because anything happens even in a remote village of Pakistan, the whole world can find out because of the internet. And then the whole religion goes to trial in the West, and our job as community leaders and as community activists, it becomes harder and harder. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote that book. The primary reason was to show the difference between the culture and the religion. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Exactly. And let's talk about your book and experience. And what's the message, as you mentioned that, ma'am? What's the vision art behind writing the book? It's a very award-winning book, so it's very. And what's the message to deliver in this book?
Um, so an acquaintance is is more related to the American Muslims, because the growing up as minority in America, because we're Muslims, it has its own challenges, it has its own ups and downs. And so it's about a practicing Muslim girl who ends up falling in love with a non-Muslim boy, because this is something that happens a lot over here because of the environment and the culture, because we are primarily living with non-Muslims. So it naturally happens. And then so the book deals about, it deals with her challenges. It goes in depth about her emotions, feelings with her family and her community, and just her inner struggles between her faith and her emotions. And a far majority of the girls over here in the West, they related, they could relate to that scenario, and that's why it was more popular among the youth, because they could relate to it. And so the underlying message is to acknowledge that it's okay for something like this to happen. That if a girl falls in love with if a Muslim girl falls in love with a non-Muslim boy, it's not because something is wrong with her. It's just that it's natural. It's something acknowledging a natural human emotion, a natural human mistake. Not even a mistake, it's an emotion that happens. Now, if she acts upon it, then obviously it's problematic. So a lot of time, when something is religiously wrong, we don't even acknowledge that it could happen. Those feelings, those emotions are there. That is not wrong. If you do something with it, that's wrong, right? So the primary purpose of the book is to acknowledge those emotions and legitimize them. That it doesn't mean that if that happens to a girl, or even if she falls in love with any boy, it doesn't mean that she is bad or she is evil or something is wrong with her. It just means that these are natural emotions. If a girl doesn't fall in love with a guy, I think then that's problematic.
Amazing. I feel super. I think might be anybody focused on that thing. We usually read the books where a boy fall in love with the non-Muslim girls and then try to all that happens. But women also have a heart, and
Yes.
it also work like others.
Right.
She also has emotion. It also works. She also feels. And as you mentioned that as we not talk about some things, but this doesn't mean that doesn't happen. Like
Right.
we are evil and angel at the same time. We have evil in ourselves because it happens. And sometimes we want to kill somebody. Sometimes we feel jealous. It's natural.
Right.
But I think so. We don't accept it. We don't. Inside we have that feeling. Inside we have that evilness. Inside we, as you mentioned, we also fall in love with someone or emotions also. But and that's very, I think so that you worked on that thing and you focus on that point. And ma'am, I just wanted that as you think, we all feel. We all, I think so, we all have some evilness in our side. We all feel jealousy. We all, as you were, for emotions. So how we can deal with that? I really want to learn from you that, as you mentioned that at first, because we usually, I think so, we usually ignore and we usually suppress and pose we never, and we just pose that we never felt like that. We are so good.
Right.
We never feel that things, but inside it happens. So how can deal with? I just really wanna learn.
It's a really good question, Asma, that you're asking, because as you in the beginning said, that we are very judgmental. So and our society, the whole world, is especially a lot more judgmental when it comes to women. They're very harshly judged. And that kind of attitude that far majority of the women have developed, that, oh no, I'm a good person, this doesn't happen to me, is because they are afraid of being judged. They don't want to be honest. They don't want to be honest. They are afraid of being judged, so they have to kind of like put that sort of a display, sort of like a mask, that, okay, it doesn't happen to me, even though internally they are dying with all those emotions. They're all like, it's bubbling up and everything, but they're never going to express that. And then the more women don't express that, the more women don't talk about it, the more society thinks, oh, it doesn't happen to women, that's why they're not expressing it. What they don't understand is that women are very, very afraid of being judged and criticized, and their reputation, they're very, very afraid of having their reputation smeared. So to going back to your question, it happens, and we all have weaknesses. We all have, as you said, some evil in us. We all have some good and some bad in us. It's interesting because I was just having this conversation with my daughter the other day, and I was telling her that, look, we all have some good and we all have some bad, and just because you have your bad doesn't define you. you know um, what defines you is that which side do you respond to. Do you respond to your good side, or do you respond to your bad side? That's what defines you. Your effort of how much you're trying not to respond to your bad side, that's what defines you. How hard you have to struggle to be inclined towards your good side, those efforts define you. Even though in the end result might be a mistake, it's still the effort that you put in it. That's what defines you. That's who the person is. They might end up making a wrong decision, but how much they were struggling with it, how hard they tried, that's who that truly, that person is. And in the end, no, none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. Some of us more than the others. Some of us are, able to conceal it better. Some of our mistakes naturally get hidden. But first of all, as human beings, the first thing, I think, the first responsibility we need to really start developing is to stop judging others. We need to start cutting more slack to other people, that if they're making a mistake, let's focus on their good. Let's not focus on their bad. We have to train our brains to basically start noticing the good that a person is doing, instead of the mistakes that they are making. And it's an individual effort, and it's also a collective effort. So yeah, who we are is how, what we want to do, and what we are trying to do. Even though we may have slips, and as I say, we're not angels. We are going to have slips. How we respond to our mistakes, that's what defines us. We're all going to make mistakes. Are we just going to stay making those mistakes? Are we going to feel bad, pick ourselves up, and try to improve ourselves? We might slip again. We're going to keep slipping. That's being human being. We're going to keep making mistakes until the end. But how we respond to our mistakes, what we do with our mistakes, how much we learn, that's who truly we are. I hope that
Amazing.
answers.
Yeah, I think it's a super. As you mentioned, so they're hardly people. Actually, I think so. Okay, I suffered a lot of my time because we to become a good person, because we can't be good anytime. Whenever we try, there's some happened. We got angry with somebody. We just have fight with someone, and it makes, so I just feel when it just hurts you that you are not a good person. You always do this, this,
Yeah.
this, this, this. Because the
Yeah.
good person, because we usually listen. Good person never do that. Good persons are always good, and in fact, but in actual, you can't be good every time. Whatever you try, but then I realized that accepting that I did something wrong is okay, and then try to improve that mistake. That's okay. That, and then move forward, because you can't always to be good, and that's very important. And as you mentioned that, ma'am, stop changing others, but we always say that we want to make everybody good, but we want to make every other person a good person. So how we can stop changing others? कि हम
I
तो
think
हमेशा कहते हैं कि हमने बुराई को रोकना है और अच्छाई का हुक्म देना है. So अगर if we stop that, so how we can make others a good people? So what's your
yeah,
point of view in this?
वो फिर उसकी बिगिनिंग हमारे अपने से होनी, हमसे होनी चाहिए ना, कि spread the good, के teach the good and stop the evil. वो फिर we should apply that on ourselves first. So if every person starts applying it on themselves, there's going to be very less need to correct anybody else, right?
Uh,
So yeah, so I think it's just a
I would
simple
say so.
it's a simple thing to
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. That's super. I think you're doing great. You're doing great. That's why I love the people who are outside the Pakistan, but yet they are doing great. And I think so. This is like Islam is actually like all. it's like about our living system, how we live, how we feel, how we connect with others, and we usually focused on the appearance, how we look,
Yes, that's
and then
true.
we are Muslim. But we hardly related with, like when my father died, it was some year before it just happened, and then everybody said it happens, but nobody said that that happened many years before to all the beloved people of Allah, even our beloved Prophet of Muhammad. His father, his mother died, and he's I think he's the most best person of the world. When that thing happened with that guy, so who am I? So that inspire you that our leaders also face that things, and that inspire you, and you feel that's okay. This means that happens to every. This means you relate, but we usually not relate that things with yourself. And even the best kissa was the Yunus, the Yusuf alayhi salam. This is also, as you mentioned in your novel, this is also somehow that the emotions. This is also about emotions and adultery and that kind of thing. So we
Right.
just focus on what's the name of that woman who did that. We
Yeah.
focus, but
Yeah.
Allah didn't mention that name in Quran. We not focus on the lesson, we focus on the things, and that's why we can't relate the Islam with our lives, and our lives doesn't change because we usually focus on the appearance. And I think so. You are doing amazing job. You're connecting that thing, and that's actually great. That's really inspiring. Ma'am, I wanna know. I always ask everybody the question, what is success? Because everybody want to make a successful person. Everybody say you need to be. But what is success to you? If someone say, okay, define success and who are the successful people, how you define that?
Uh, Asma, to me, success is not, something that's, I don't know, measured in numbers or in, in quantities of work or anything. I think to me, success is again in the efforts of a person, and how they're spending their lives, or how they're spending their time, what they're doing for other people, what are they doing for the community, what are they doing for their family, what are they doing for themselves. That's what defines success to me. It doesn't mean that a person has to be rich, or has like a whole bunch of degrees associated to their name, or accomplishments associated to their name. I don't think that defines success. I think for me, in the end of the day, if you go to bed with a peace of mind and a content heart, that you spend your day doing something constructive, you spent your day making a change in your own life and in the life of the people around you. To me, that's success. Even if it's on a very small scale, as long as you're busy doing something constructive, as long as you're doing something positive, that's success to me.
That's wonderful. That's super. That's super. Ma'am, as you know, we all sometimes feel down and don't want to do. But I want to know that what's your strength and what you think, what's your drive that always motivates you, that always push you forward. Go, move on. You have to do that. Just keep going. So, what's your drive in life, or what's your strength?
Honestly, I don't know. It's just something that makes me happy. As I like, just being there, doing something positive, being able to, I don't know, put a smile on somebody's face, or being able to do, bring a positive change in somebody's life, or doing something that brings about a healthy change, in our community, or even on a personal level. It's just very that feeling is very pleasing. You know, so I would rather be doing this than shopping, or I don't know, going on a coffee, for a coffee morning or something. That's just like, for me, that's just a waste of time and just not satisfying at all. So I think for every person, it's different. To me, it's just that's just the meaning of life, is just to always be busy doing something constructive. And it doesn't
That's
mean that I don't take breaks. It doesn't mean that, every person, you have very high energetic moments, and then you have, like, okay, those days where you just don't want to do anything. You just want to sit inside the house with a book and a cup of tea, and you just want to spend your day like that, which is fine also. Your mind needs that, your body needs that, and it's okay to do that. So yeah, that's that's how my life goes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I wish you would like write. You are in planning to write another book with the wonderful messages. With
Inshallah.
the
Thank you so much,
and
Asma. I
thank you
also
so
want to say that you're doing a wonderful job. I saw, I checked out your online profile and your Facebook and your LinkedIn. You're doing a really great job, mashallah. And I pray that you'll be very successful in this, and you bring about positive change in your city, in your country. Be strong, and you're an inspiration for the younger girls.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And today I learned a lot. I actually, because I spent many time of being in thinking and hurting ourselves, like I'm doing this, why this happens. I never be perfect. But today I learned a lot, and I think it's just amazing. Thank you so much. And
Thank you so
keep
much for
spreading
having me.
positivity. Keep spreading. You're just doing great. And then at the end, anything you want to say, any message, any advice.
Um, yes, I want people in Pakistan to understand the struggles of women, because I'm in that mindset, because I was there researching and talking to a lot of women. I just want people to take a step back, and instead of just blaming everything on the West, that it's all a Western influence, that whole talk about misogyny or patriarchy or woman empowerment, it's all a Western influence. Take a step back and think that, let's say, even if it was a complete Western influence, um, is everything perfect in the society, that there is no need for the woman empowerment? Are women being given the place that they deserve, that Islamically, and as human beings and as Muslims? And just when I was traveling, when I was researching, I was surprised that a lot of people are completely unaware of what actually goes on in their lives on a daily basis. And instead of just blaming, take responsibility. That's how the change starts, is to acknowledge the problem first. There is a problem. There is a problem. A cultural misogyny is a problem. The unfair treatment of women in Pakistan is a problem, and it's not a Western influence. It's just the internal cultural wrong that needs to be fixed, and it's on a very deeper level, and it needs to be fixed. And it's best that the people in Pakistan fix it themselves, and listen to them and hear out their problems and give them that space to be able to express themselves. And it will not go to the other extreme, the solution, because sometimes when we don't acknowledge a problem and we keep suppressing, then it basically, it's like a bomb in the end, and everything gets out of control and out of proportion. So let's not let it get to that level. Let's acknowledge the problem as soon as we can, so that we can start coming up with reasonable solutions, with moderate, like a moderate change, and not some, like a completely, like, drastic revolution that would just throw everything out of proportion.
Exactly. Such a powerful message, such a wonderful. And thank you so much, ma'am. Many best wishes for your work. You're doing a great job. Thank you for giving time and sharing such wonderful and powerful thoughts and ideas. Thank you both for watching. Again, we always say one thing: stay positive, be positive, and spread positivity. In this way, we can bring positivity around. Take care of yourself and take care of other. Goodbye, love, peace. Thank you, ma'am. It's really honored to have you. Many best wishes for your work. Have a good day.
Thank you. You
Allah
too.
Hafiz.
Okay, Allah Hafiz.
Thank
Allah Hafiz. Thank you.